Is it on release a scam? To find out, I'm looking at 2 pro players' games to discover the truth. The first pro we're looking at is Peterbot, and he is playing on edit on release. The second pro, who doesn't play it on release, you'll find out later in the video. What we're going to do is look at some of the best fights from each player and see how maybe using and not using edit on release helps them to win in their fights. So Peterbot plays edit on release. Let's see what he does here that is interesting. Interesting there, the way we just saw him, he held that wall and he had to keep the crosshair on where his wall pieces were, because that's how edit on release works. If you drag it through other parts of the builds, it'll ruin your edit. So, you know, what's interesting is I actually never really see edit on release players play like that. Usually every edit on release player, and wait, actually before I get into it, I'm just going to assume you know what I mean when we're talking about this thing, so I just don't keep repeating the word edit on release. But what I was trying to say there was, it's interesting how he was actually able to hold the edit by just keeping the crosshair there, because most players, they will just, you know, quickly edit, you know, triple edit, you know, try to do the fancy stuff. And that was like a known thing, was the benefit of not playing edit on release, is you could just hold an edit easier, which you can. But it was interesting how Peterbot was able to do it there, and it actually helped him. You know, he plays slow down and then just keep editing. Here though, edit on release comes in handy. He can just quickly, you know, edit that as fast as possible. Slides in the build, no editing involved here, just a good pre-fire. And you can do that on either or, edit on release on or off. But it was interesting how quick he was able to do that piece control. Here, he's just leaving the black market after getting all the loot he needed. And that's another interesting argument, you know. Even though he can do all this really quick editing and stuff, and anyone can maybe on edit on release, you know, you still won't dominate all the best players if you don't get other things right, like, you know, having a good strategy to get good loot. But as you can see, edits just look so fluid from Peterbot. He wouldn't be able to play as fast as he does if it wasn't for edit on release. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. He's able to catch players off guard by simply how quick he can do edits. See there, boom, the wall, edited. This wall, boom, boom, boom. Nice crosshair placement. And that's actually another thing. Yeah, you know, edit on release can make you quick, but if you have your crosshair placement bad and you try and go too fast, it just won't be worth it. Here, nice little starting beam, you know, that helps everyone. Getting some starting damage for every fight can be really, really helpful. Again, yeah, we can see the quick piece control. I like the fact that he doesn't just fall into the box. And yeah, now, that is a hard edit, by the way. To edit that wall from that angle, that takes a lot of practice and good crosshair placement. Interesting, this player also looks like he plays an edit on release. Peterbot quickly can reset that pyramid and gets himself another elimination. Here, as you can see, Peterbot just effortlessly editing and all the things he's doing. Wow. Oh, this fight was a little bit sped up, or was it? No, maybe it's just because he has the speed effect. Damn, that was really quick editing by Peterbot. Really impressive. I like that bottom 3 tile edit. Makes it hard for the player to shoot him. That is another thing. With edit on release, I think you have to be more careful of the edits you do, because you do them so fast, a player might just predict it and just shoot you. Meanwhile, when you don't use it, you have to like, you're less likely to make like a really bad edit, because you have to think about every edit more, because it's a lot slower paced. yeah, it's just really interesting watching Peterbot. You can just like, it just has all the minute details down right. So yeah, let's watch this again. Drops down, gets a nice pre-fire, and then I like the way he grabs all the piece control here, and then just swings over and shoots the opponent. It's like zero panic in his play style, and really does help. This player already weak, Peterbot getting all the piece control he can, and sometimes that's all you have to do. Just get into the box. You don't even have to do any fancy doublet. It's just get in, you know the player's weak, and there is another elimination. Right now, I don't know. I'm not seeing like the most crucial things, as in like why edit on release is like a no-brainer to play from this gameplay. What I'm really seeing is like, I mean, like, yeah, that's nice, you know, that is really clean how Peterbot can do that quickly, but it's more of just like doing the right things. It looks like I say this argument, and then Peterbot just fully piece controls someone at that like insane speed, which would just catch them so off guard. But you know, so many players are insanely creative, but they go into real games and they don't do well. Now there is exceptions. Don't go commenting Marius Cow. That guy, he is just a different breed. But like, watch this. This isn't no fancy like edit play. It's just simply good knowledge that the player won't have time to hold that wall. And yeah, that's just really good catching him off guard there. One thing though, as you see there, Peterbot looking out the cone. That is probably one of the more annoying things about playing edit on release, is looking out cones is more awkward, because if you edit it in any way and then you let go, it'll just edit the cone. Meanwhile, when it's off, edit on release, you can just look through the cone and not have to worry about that, because you're not gonna click conform, you're just gonna be able to look through effortlessly. But that's not enough of a game changer to be deciding which one you want. Peterbot just drops him in about 0.2 seconds and shocks the player and gets the kill. Yes, let's see what he does here. 5 players left, just uses his aim, which I think aim, guys, if whichever you play on, maybe if you try either or, whichever one you notice you have better aim on, I honestly think you should stick to that one. Because if you try to play too quick with edit on release and it like hurts your aim, then I don't think it's worth it. But if it doesn't affect it and you can play a lot quicker and stuff, and you know, we look more at the edit on release off player, then you can make maybe a better judgment. Good here by Peterbot, not even peeking, he doesn't need to. And now it is time to look at the player who plays edit on release off, and his name is Clicks. Clicks does indeed play with edit on release off, and whoa, he got absolutely beamed here by another pro player, Issue. And it's interesting, I really like this play he does. Goes out here to the left and gets a defensive shot. No quick editing, and you saw there, he can edit quick, but it's just not the speed of Peterbot, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, obviously Peterbot's the best, but honestly I think he would be the best if he even to play with edit on release off. So he, you know, he's like an exception, but there still is arguments we can make with edit on release from the two of these games. So as you can see there, like, even down here, he's quick, but not as quick as Peterbot, but because of him just being smart, putting himself between a lot of layers and the opponent and getting to all these heals, the opponent couldn't get to him. Now, this guy's, this isn't, and to do it or at least this part, this is just ridiculous. The minigun, I think it's gone out of competitive now. Yeah, that's a pro player. Issue's a pro, like, and Clicks just took him down with absolute ease. I like this too, you know, he's, you know, using builds to try and get close to his opponent without taking damage. Really smart. And because he's using a ranged weapon, he's trying to keep his distance while putting the pressure down and not get shotgunned. Because I think that's what a lot of mistakes players can make, is trying to get that starting damage with the minigun, but play too close and then just get one pump. See there, he only did 30 damage with the shotgun, and Clix did way more with the minigun, and this is just ridiculous. Doesn't even go for the wall. He just gets on it. And then look at this, another pro player, an FNCS, multiple times FNCS winner, Acorn. He does actually put more of a fight, but let's see what actually goes down here. And while we watch some of this absurdness, I will talk about the point of this video. I mean, I think people can get distracted by a setting like get on release. I think the more important thing can sometimes, as I said before, be your aim, like how you build, and just game sense. But it is interesting watching Clix here and actually seeing how his playstyle is quite different in Peterbot. I thought there was a chance that they were similar and they both were just really quick editors, but no, there actually is a difference. If you're playing the more slow playstyle, maybe like Clix, maybe you have to find the strategies that you can abuse, like the minigun. But this obviously is an extreme case, but there's loads of other little things maybe you could learn from VOD reviewing players to help improve your game when you can't be like the most insane triple editor on edit on release. So like, instead of maybe practicing creative free building the entire time, maybe you watch more games and get more knowledge, and that's how you could outplay your opponents, because both would work. You know, as you can see, Clix is dominating these players just as much as Peterbot, and to be honest, these players I think are actually harder than the competition Peterbot had, because a lot of these are pro players, which surprised me, because I'm pretty sure this was also open solo cash cup like the Peterbot's game. Right now we haven't had to see too much of it on release because of how insane this minigun is, but there is still a lot to learn. Interesting how Clix does a good job with his movement, just like keep getting on the player. You know, takes a break there, uses a splash behind the wall. I like that, because when you use a splash or like healing items, there can be a bit of a delay. So if you just quickly put yourself behind the wall, and you'll be able to use them without getting beamed. I like this, good timing for the phase, and the guy actually has a shield bubble. That must mean, I guess, he has the medallion, and it allows him just to get into his box. I like that, replace the cone, and gets himself under elimination. What I also like is he's not going for like piece control and doing fancy edits, because he doesn't have to. Because of his timing and how fast minigun is, he can just get into their box and kill him. Now the thing is, the minigun's gone, but you could actually still do this with other weapons like the fast SMGs or the collateral AR. So definitely do take some learning from this game. Here I hope he knows his players weak, because if not, that's a bit of a psycho play to be on the wall and getting like that. Definitely a good player could tool to pump you there and end your game early. So look at this, all the pro players, Predage, I think I saw Agers. I'm trying to see, he's moving too fast, he has so many. But more about edit on release. I mean, as you can see here, he's just building. Like, which do I think is better? It really depends on your situation and your playstyle. So let me give a few examples. If you're zero ping demon, you love playing creative, you love doing the really fast edits, I think you should commit to that playstyle and just become an insane fighter. Like, sometimes you might die because you might do an edit and get too in front, but if you can have the Peterbot level mechanics, well, then you'll be able to kill so much players and catch them off guard a lot. And let's say you don't play on the highest, I mean the lowest ping, you don't play creative the whole time, you enjoy playing more scrims, you know, a lot more like knowledge needed games, you know, scrims, tournaments all the time, maybe ranked or maybe like end game zone wars creative, then I would be tempted to go to edit and release off. But whichever one you are playing on right now, maybe just stick with it. Okay, like for control players, I would say I think maybe you should just you probably have to play edit and release on just to be able to have these decent level mechanics. But for keyboard, it could be either or. I use edit and release on, but as you can see from Clix's game, and just the fact that Clix is a high tier pro player, either or can work. You have to fit your play style. So edit and release on or off, it's not a scam. You just have to find what works for you. I hope I helped. Thanks for watching and goodbye.